We have here today a 6-28311 Union Pacific Legacy DD35A, cab number 70. Also available is 6-28371 Union Pacific Legacy DD35A, cab number 72. 6-28379 Union Pacific non-powered DD35A, number 80. 6-28369 New York Central Legacy DD35A with lightning stripe, cab number 9950. 28372 New York Central Legacy DD35A with lightning stripe, cab number 9955. 6-28380 New York Central non-powered DD35A, cab number 9959 with lightning stripe. 34650 Milwaukee Road Legacy DD35A, cab number 1535. 34651 Milwaukee Road non-powered DD35A, cab number 1537. 38496 Southern Pacific Legacy DD35A, number 9903. 6-38497 Southern Pacific non-powered DD35A, number 9914. 38498 Pennsylvania Legacy DD35A, number 2380. And finally 6-38499 Pennsylvania non-powered DD35A, number 2383. Out of the package you will receive the manual for loading the engine memory module, the instruction manual, smoke fluid pipette, 4 replacement traction tires, and the engine memory module that is specific to the engine road name and road number. These DD35As feature dual vertical can motors, 2 fan-driven smoke units, LED lighting front and rear, LED marker lights, front and rear electrocouplers, Odyssey 2 speed control, Legacy rail sounds, Legacy control. They do feature a cab light when the locomotive is at idle. That cab light will turn off as the engine begins moving. This is the Lionel DD35. It is a monster of a locomotive and doesn't even fit in the entire screen of our video camera. I want to take just a second and show you where the switches are located on this locomotive. The radiator fan housing closest to the cab comes off completely. Removing this hatch will expose all 4 switches and the volume pot. The rearmost radiator hatch comes off as well, and in this position we have the slot for the 9-volt battery for conventional operation. Installing the 9-volt battery will keep the sounds active when you press the direction switch on the transformer. The switches inside our locomotive are front smoke, on, and no smoke. So this switch here is for the forwardmost smoke unit, closest to the cab. In the FSMK position, that forward smoke unit is on. In the no SMK position, it's off. This switch is the rear smoke unit. In the RSMK position, it's on. In the no SMK position, it is off. We have our Odyssey speed control on-off switch. In the ODY position, speed control is enabled. In the no ODY position, it is disabled. And finally, we have our run program switch. In the run position, we can operate the locomotive. In the program position, that's used for assigning the locomotive ID number in either Legacy or TMCC1 mode. In conventional mode, the program position is used for the direction lockout control. We also have the volume pot right here. This is the master volume of the entire sound system. Adjusting the volume down here will not allow you to increase the volume above that level using either the cab 1 or the cab 2 remote. I want to point out that when you're handling this locomotive, you want to grab it down underneath the radiator hatches, either on the body, in the doorway, or down on the fuel tank if your hands are large enough. Be careful you don't grab it here. You're liable to drop the locomotive, and we certainly don't want that to happen. Before we get our DD35 on the track, we need to make sure that we install the memory module in the remote. To do this, we're going to use our numbering convention. The engine number on the DD35 is engine 70, so we'll go with engine 70. Engine 70. Now we're going to take our orange memory module, insert it in the top of our cab with the silver circle L facing up, and press the info button in the upper right hand corner, and we're going to press the button underneath load. It tells us the module is inserted. It's a Union Pacific 28311 DD35 number 70. Load engine data. We're going to press yes. Engine data is loaded. We'll remove the module to continue. Take a second and show you what this has done for us. By pressing the scroll button in the upper left hand corner, it set our type to diesel. Press scroll again. It set our control to Lionel Legacy. Press scroll again. It set our sounds to Legacy Rail Sounds. To exit the engine menu, we press the info key in the upper right hand corner. Engine 70 or number 70 appears briefly at the top of the screen as it scrolls Union Pacific DD35 across the top. Anytime we press engine 70, the cab number will display momentarily. Okay, let me show you what this has done for our icons. We've already addressed engine 70. Now we press the aux1 key, and these icons on the touchpad are specific to the DD35. We have volume up, crew talk, RPMs up, volume down. The black circle is shut down. If we turn the red thumb wheel, that changes to a triangle. That becomes emergency stop when the locomotive is moving. Go ahead and stop the locomotive. Again, the black circle is shut down. The black triangle is emergency stop. We have RPMs down, tower comm, smoke off, smoke on, engine reset, Rule 17 lighting on, Rule 17 lighting off. We press the speed bar. We have our 6 preset railroad speeds, tower comm, smoke off, smoke on, the bar graph directly proportionate to the FX up and FX down buttons. This increases the labor. You can see that bar graph moves up. By pressing down, that decreases the labor. That's simply the sounds of how hard the locomotive is working to move the load. And finally here we have number 1 is roll speed. And that's the first speed step, the slowest speed step the locomotive is capable of attaining. Okay, press aux1 again out of that menu. Let's go ahead and get the engine lubricated and we can get it on the track. Before we get our DD35 on the track, we want to make sure that we pre-lubricate it. To do this, we're going to use our needle oil applicator. And we're just going to place a small drop of oil on the axle here and here where it goes through the truck. We want to make sure that we place a small dab of oil on the axle where the axle goes through the bearing in the truck. We want to do that to all sides of the axle, or the truck itself rather. And then also to the front axle. Putting this oil here will prevent these axles from squeaking. We also want to put a small dab of oil on the axle for the collector. Just one on each side. You work that in. That'll prevent that collector from making any unwanted noise on the track. You also want to do the same for the rear truck, all 4 axles, each side, and both collectors. These DD35 locomotives are equipped with twist and lock or lion drive trucks. And what that means is you can access you can remove the truck by simply grabbing onto the side frames and twisting the truck 90 degrees to the left. After a slight resistance, the truck will come off from the frame completely. There's 2 ring terminals to remove and 1 socket or 2 sockets here to unplug, and the truck will remove completely from the locomotive without disassembling it. It's also important to note that this coupling here, referred to as a Lion drive coupling, is required. This actually sits inside the truck itself, and it's what's responsible for transferring the power from the motor to the gearbox. Another great feature with Lion drive trucks is that all of the screws are accessible from the underside. For instance, these 2 screws here, when removed, will take this side frame off completely, which will allow you to change the traction tire with ease. These 2 screws over here will take this side frame off, and the 2 screws up front will remove the pilot in the event the coupler needs any servicing. The traction tires are on this axle here, and again the same for the front truck. These 2 wheels here are powered. These wheels out here are actually dummies. You can see that when there's a blind wheel set. Before we actually start running this DD35A, we want to make sure that we put smoke fluid in it. These DD35s are equipped with 2 smoke units, one here and one in the rear. To do this, we're going to use our smoke fluid along with the pipette that came in the box with the locomotive. You want to fill the pipette to roughly about 3/4 of the way from the bottom of the pipette to the first line. Put that in, drop in your fluid, a couple puffs of air to clear the passageway, and repeat the same process for the rear smoke unit. Again, about 3/4 of the way from the end of the pipette to the first line. Good rule of thumb is to put less fluid in rather than more. You can always add more. If you put in too much and flood the smoke chamber, you're liable to cause damage to the smoke unit fan motor, and it's going to have to come in for repair. So we've got smoke fluid added. We've already told our remote that the locomotive is engine number 70. Now we need to tell the locomotive that it's going to be engine 70. Remove the hatch. Place the program run switch in the program position. Apply track power. You'll notice when we power up, the only thing illuminated are the number boards. The headlight and the rear marker lights are not illuminated. This is normal. These lights will not come on until you address the locomotive and give it a command. So we want to press engine 70 and the set button. Blast of the horn confirms it took the command. You can put the program run switch back in the run position. I'm going to turn this volume down a little bit so I don't have to holler over top of it. Can reinstall the cover. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn the smoke units on by pressing the aux1 or straight arrow key and the smoke on button 3 times to bring the smoke to high. It's not uncommon for the locomotive to take a few seconds to start generating smoke. I'm going to go ahead and blast the horn for you so you can hear what that sounds like. The bell. Crew talk.
Dispatcher, waiting on a clear track to get a roll. Over.
I'll go ahead and turn that volume up just a little bit so you can hear the dialogues.
Understood. Jet here looking for a green light. Out.
This is Tower Comm again.
Dispatcher here. Please stand by. Over. Understood. Jet here looking for a green light. Out.
Okay, as we increase the throttle, you'll notice that the volume of smoke coming out of the stacks will actually increase. You'll notice that the cab light also turns off when the engine begins rolling. This engine has 8 notches of RPMs, which is per the prototype. You can rev those up manually using the RPM up and down icons on the touchpad. I'll go ahead and spool it up for you now. underway. The Rule 17 lighting icons on the touchpad simply change the behavior of the headlights. When you press Rule 17, it turns Rule 17 lighting on. All that really is when the locomotive sits at idle, the headlights are dim, so it doesn't blind any other locomotive engineers that are passing. And when the engine begins rolling, the headlight gets brighter. Rule 17 lighting off icon on the touchpad will disable that feature so that the headlights will stay at constant intensity at all times, whether the engine is moving or stopped. Go ahead and apply the brakes. Bring the engine to a stop. You'll notice that the cab light comes on when the engine stops. Our rear smoke unit stopped putting out smoke. That's because we've got a meniscus at the bottom of the funnel. To clear this, I'm simply going to blow down the stack, get the smoke to come out again. This engine is equipped with sequence mode. All that sequence mode is a series of pre-recorded sounds that respond to different throttle commands. To enter sequence mode, we're simply going to press and hold the aux1 or the straight arrow key for 3 or more seconds. The locomotive will tell us it's entered sequence mode by 2 bells and a short horn blast. Pressing aux1 now. So now the locomotive is in sequence mode. I'm going to go to speed step 1, but the locomotive isn't actually going to start moving. It's going to spool up the engine, give us 2 horn blasts, short tower comm message.
Dispatcher, I've got the green light. Clear outbound. Over.
And as I turn the throttle to speed step 2, the locomotive will begin moving at speed step, what would normally be speed step 1. So go to speed step 1. Now I'm going to go to speed step 2.
We are on the move. Over. Acknowledged. Out.
The bell turns on and will stay on until you exceed speed step 23. Subtle changes or drastic changes in the speed will activate the horn. As the engine is running, it will randomly give off a grade crossing horn sequence. Going to increase to above speed step 23, so the bell turns off. I do have control over the sounds manually from the remote. I can access the horn anytime I'd like, the bell as well. You go ahead and hit the speed bar and go to one of the preset railroad speeds.
Dispatcher here. Please go to medium speed. Over. Copy that. Increasing to medium speed. Out.
I'm going to go ahead and let off the icon now. Engine goes up to medium speed. Press restricted speed real quick.
Engine is at restricted speed. Out.
So everything that all the sound sequences the locomotive does all happens based on throttle inputs. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the engine, slowing it down. To exit speed or to exit sequence mode, we press the aux1 key and the engine reset icon on the touchpad. The horn blast tells us that we've left sequence mode and now we're back to manual control. You can fill up the fuel tank in this locomotive by pressing aux1 and holding the engine reset button for an extended period of time. Once we release the reset key, we get a short dialogue.
Dispatcher, we've got a full tank. Over. Acknowledged. Out.
Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the shutdown key, which is the black circle on the touchpad.
Tire now, short beam. Out.
We hit the shutdown icon, you'll notice that the smoke units will turn off, as will the cab light and the headlights. The only thing left illuminated are the number boards front, and that's it. These are the DD35s. They're at your dealers now. We hope that you enjoy them.